What if I told you the way it has always been done is not the best way? Facing your fears will change your life. The passion behind this journey is merging two separate worlds into one with the goal of creating value and awareness for a better life.
I'd rather be sidelined trying to achieve greatness than watch greatness achieved and it only set on the sideline. Now introducing your host, Jacob Emery.
This episode of the Iron and Infrastructure Podcast is brought to you by Unlocking Greatness with Jacob Emery, a coaching community built for those ready to become the strongest version of themselves. Weekly calls, proven playbooks, and a community built to grow. Greatness is not given, it's unlocked. Join us today at jacobemery.com or DM coach at jacobemery44 on all social media platforms. Welcome to a very special and limited edition of the Iron and Infrastructure Podcast. Ladies and gentlemen, today we have someone that has superpowers like no other. She has been the CEO or COO of my life for about the last year and a half and has taken a organizational dumpster fire into an organizational powerhouse, I guess. Dane, my friend, my coworker, welcome to the Iron and Infrastructure Podcast for the big debut.
Thank you so much, Jake, for having me. I'm so excited to be here.
I don't think that you can put excitement level above a 10, but I'm going to go about 300 on this one because of how long this has been in the making. And my most sincere, heartfelt gratitude goes out to you for the journey that we have been on and for the flexibility and ability that you have provided for me to get out of my own stinking way sometimes. Dane, you have gave me superpowers that I never believed to be possible to have. And I thank you for that, first and foremost. I'm so glad that you finally got to come on the show and showcase your skills and what you're all about. So let's do a short overview. Dane, what has it been like since you joined Superpowers and ultimately became the COO of this dumpster fire from an organizational standpoint?
First of all, I really appreciate your kind words. And I would like to let everyone know that whatever success I have right now is also something that you have provided support me with. You know, I will not be where I am right now if you had not given me the encouragement and also the appreciation every single day just to let me know that I am doing right or doing well. So my experience being an EA with superpowers has been very, overwhelming because I really like learning new things, and starting as an EA has been a learning experience for me for most of it. And it's been such a wild journey. I would say wild because there's a lot of new things that have come onto my plate, and sometimes I couldn't even believe that I got to where I am right now, even with all those things, being put in front of me. And, with everyone's support, not only you, but also with Superpowers, they really provided me with such great support. And I can't really imagine myself anywhere without that.
It has been so much fun to watch you from day one to now. Whenever you started, you were so conservative and quiet and organized in this, not box, but you're just so structured. And then I'm this crazy, wild, off the wall, throw something, see if it sticks, and catch the house on fire along the way. And then that mesh between the two has really created an acceleration for myself and I think for you, where we have complemented each other very well with our strengths and weaknesses. And so my chaotic nature and lack of organization is your strength, and you've taken it and made it a strength of mine by organizing everything for me. And so, and it's funny as we have, evolved in this, I consider this a partnership, and as it's evolved, it's been such a incredible learning experience for us both, because I really feel like we're both falling into that unique ability, and we're doing it because of strengths and weaknesses of each other.
Correct. And I would really agree when I started, because my entire work experience has been really structured, as you said earlier. So I follow a set of, processes, and they're all already in place. And when I came in to your world, there was like a lot of things that didn't have structure, and
Like everything.
yeah, everything. And then when I put my skills in that arena, I think there was a lot of friction at first. There was a lot of mismatch with what I was suggesting, what you wanted. And it's like a lot of back and forth with us for the first 1 year of our work together. But then I agree, this is also a learning experience for me, because one of the things that I learned the most was adaptability and
Mhm.
flexibility. And I think it's a very unique experience and unique learning to get. You don't just get this anywhere, I would say. So I've learned to really keep an open mind with you and really just try to really think what you need and not about what I want to happen. And yeah, that's really like a work in progress and still working on that right now.
I could not agree more. And you bring up so many great points in that. But the one that sticks out for me was the light bulb switch of I don't need all the detail. I just need the essential detail. And you know, you're very detail oriented and focused on the everything because of your skill set with organization. And I need to know the 3 to 5 key components of this thing, and that would be it. Like a yes or no, it's done. And part of that is a learning curve where I trust you to tell me it's done or it's not done, and I know that it's going to be done or not done. And if I need to
Yeah.
see why, I can ask you that, and you provide it. I don't need to see every reason why it is or isn't. And like I just
Yeah.
need the answer and not how you got the answer. And although
Yes.
I'm big on saying, show me your homework, I want to see the data that can prove that. I don't need that from you because I know that what you tell me is going to be fact. And so it's very interesting when, we're polar opposites in the detail that we need in the way we process information, the way we think. But when we
Mhm.
come together and we merge, I think it's a superpower for both of us because
Yes.
both of us are learning at an accelerated rate compared to when we started. And I think when that does happen, what's possible 6 months ago is already done today. And what
Yeah.
we're thinking about in 6 months from now could rapidly change tomorrow because of the way that we're taking information and, conceptualizing it and putting something into place. And it's just such a unique experience and so humbling at the same time to know that it's an accelerator like no other. Um,
Yes.
and I'm grateful for it because you are very educated. You're from an academia standpoint, you're way further in your education than I am. Um, you had a medical related degree, you went to college. I'm sure you just absolutely crushed all your academia years. And
Mhm.
I didn't crush anything but getting in trouble. And so it's interesting when you have that unique difference of culture, upbringing, skill set,
Mhm.
academia, education. But when you mesh the two worlds together, it's like an accelerator because you both grow, and it's super cool to be a part of that.
Yeah. But, I think there's one thing that I really learned so far in my entire life. It's that I wouldn't say that education doesn't matter, but I think how you apply what you learn to whatever circumstance you're in or in front of, because, some circumstances you can't control, but how you bring the education, what you've learned from your past education, bringing
Mhm.
that to your actual, application is something that maybe not all people can connect. So it's really a matter of being street smart sometimes. And that's what I see with you. And I think most visionaries have this capability to be just wild with that imagination. When you come from education, sometimes you get limited with that. You
Mhm.
have this really structured brain, and it's really amazing for me to see a visionary like you have these kinds of ideas. I cannot do that. I would say it's not in my caliber.
Well, and it's just we are not taught how to learn. We are taught what to learn in school, but not how to actually learn it. And there is a system in place to learn this curriculum this way,
Yeah.
and that's it. And so,
Yes.
someone like me that did not do well in school, that was in constant trouble and chaos, it's
Mhm.
because the way I process information is so wildly different and it's frowned upon in that high school down like years, K through 12, you know, from graduating high school and going on, you're not taught how to learn. And it's frowned upon when you don't learn this way. And I remember being told in high school I would never make anything out of myself. Dead or in jail by 21 was a real thing. Like I can't manufacture that. And it was because I didn't apply myself because I was so damn bored I could care less. Right, wrong, or indifferent, the school system doesn't teach you how to learn. I think it just teaches you what. And
What
then
to learn.
another point to that, you fail a test today. Do you retake that test, or do you just go back and relearn that, or do you continue to move forward? And someone like myself, I would get in a hole I couldn't get myself out of because I would fail one thing and then I would never catch up because I continued to fail because I never learned the base of it to begin with. And I think the school system is not geared toward how you can learn being different. It's what you should learn and what style you should adapt to. And I don't think it's realistic for a lot of people.
I agree. You know, when I look back and really think about what I have acquired through my education, I would really say it's really a matter of just grit, of really grinding through, the entire curriculum, because the curriculum I had was one of the most difficult ones in the Philippines. And I'm not really actually working on that right now. So I'm actually here as an executive assistant. So the one thing that I could see is that education, like at that level, could really give you the grit, to just push through. But actually learning something out of that box is a totally different skill set, I would say. It's like you want to learn something new without a curriculum in place. And it's like, that's new. I don't know how to do that. So, but when I see you're very courageous about these things. And it really amazes me, to see visionaries like yourself. I mean, like, I don't operate like that. I was not taught, I did not grow to operate like that.
And I think that's the beautiful thing about it. I wasn't taught anything. I caught what I didn't want to become or do. I wasn't taught what I should do. And I'm glad no one ever tried because they would have failed, because it's something that I think everyone in life, we talk about the key to unlocking your greatness. You got to have the knowledge base, the what. You got to understand the knowledge. But the execution comes from knowing how you actually learn. That the execution is the how. So how do you retain the information, and then how do you instill implementation of that? And so many people hear something and have dreams and ideas that never act on them, so they just become dreams and ideas, and that's it. Taking a vision and creating reality out of it, though, is so unique and so powerful. And not knowing anything when you start is almost like a requirement, because if you haven't done it, then you don't know what the hell you're doing. If you can't describe what you're doing as a process, you don't know what the hell you're doing. It's a famous quote, and it is one of the truest things that I could ever imagine. You don't really figure out you until you take knowledge and execute on that knowledge. And then I think that's where the key is all about: knowledge, execution, and you. And we all have greatness inside, and we have to all dig it out and find it. And the wild part, listening to what you just said, is you learned this thing that was very complex and hard to understand, to get through, and you're not utilizing it today, but it helped form something in you. It helped create this system for you that is the reason you're excelling so much today. And kind of like connecting the dots, you don't always have all the dots there to connect. Thinking that this was going to be the outcome with medical school and all the things that you did, and now looking where you're at, had you looked at, if you would have known the information today 5 years ago and said, this will be where I'll be at in 5 years, you might have been disappointed, not knowing though all of them building blocks were setting you up to ultimately have the fulfillment you do today.
That's right. I completely agree with you.
I think not knowing why and not knowing what the thing is teaching you or where it's heading, I would not have imagined having a coaching program probably a year ago. It may have been like a 3-year thought. It's just rolled out. I couldn't have done it without you, just for reference. There's no way I could have got all this stuff accomplished and applied in the last year. When we first started working together, I actually spent probably that 3 weeks before you started working, organizing the best that I could to get you information to let you hit the ground running. And all I knew
Yeah.
is if I just give her everything, if I just give her the keys of the car and try to outline everything I can think of that's there, knowing I'm going to miss 90% of it. But if I can just get her everything, I'm just going to let her take it and drive with it. And for anyone out there that's considering hiring an executive assistant, I highly recommend that you go to Superpowers because that's how you get your superpowers. You heard it here first. Secondly,
Mhm.
give them the keys to the car and let them drive. Because if I would have tried to micromanage you, Dane, or tell you how to do anything, it would have been catastrophic for both of us. You have to let the person take the keys to that car and drive that unique ability forward for you. Because I think that's one of the biggest accelerators for us and some of the feedback I've gotten from others, especially in coach. When I go to coach, I'll have, I'll have convinced people they need an EA, and then they come back to the next quarter, man, I just don't know. It's not working out. And I'm like,
Mhm.
talk to me about what's going on. And like, well, it's this and that. I'm like, stupid. You're the bottleneck. Let them do their job. You're micromanaging someone that's doing something way better than you. Quit.
Yeah.
And that's what it would be. Is it's micromanaging. No, you got to do it this way. Dane, I don't care how you do what you do. You have complete freedom to do all of that and flexibility to do it how you see fit. As long as the outcome is outlined and we agree on the desired outcome, you do your thing. I'm not going to tell you how to do that. That'd be the worst thing I could do.
Yeah. I remember that first kickoff call we had, and you had all these sheets prepared. You have everything outlined on there, and I was really like, this is a lot of information, but he really put this through. I mean, put this together for me, and I really appreciated that. But what really empowered me in the first few months was you letting me take the reins. Apparently, it's not the same experience with all the other EAs.
Yeah.
When they ask me, like for example, do you have access to his credit card? And I said, he gave me the details to his credit card from the very beginning.
Mm-hmm.
Also, your access to passwords, and I think that really gave me like a realization that this empowerment should be two-way, and you have provided that path for me, and it really helped accelerate everything. When you gave me access to your inbox, I was able to manage through it like within the first few weeks, and
Mm-hmm.
that's because you allowed me to take the reign from there, and I really think that's what made it work for both of us.
It's a partnership. That's how I truly feel about it. It's not me, the entrepreneur. It's not you, you're the COO of my life. That's how I define our working relationship, is that this is a partnership to me. And like when you have that true understanding on both sides,
Mhm.
it creates momentum for both of us. My growth, if you don't grow in this partnership, if I grow and you don't, it's not going to work. And I think we talked about that from the very beginning. Like, I'm here for your growth as well because I'm going to grow. I'm going to accelerate my growth, but I need you to come with me on this journey. It's part of it. Like, it is something that we just have to do together. If you're not growth minded and I'm going 100 mile an hour and you're going and parking in the rest area for a minute and not coming out of that rest area, it's not going to work. And I think as a byproduct of your openness just to a growth mindset, I don't know if you ever had that intentionally before or not, but I think it accelerated the success for both of us. And I see and hear things that you talk about now and say now. And every once in a while, I'll just smile and be like, she's got this shit dialed. She is locked and loaded, ready to go. And I had nothing to do with it. She's like growing and she don't even probably recognize it. So having gratitude for that, looking back every once in a while and be like, 3 months ago, I was here and I'm here today. And that was just 3 months. What's in store? It makes life exciting.
Oh, I really appreciate those words, Jake, because if you look at me on my desk, I'm really like kind of like panicked. It's like, am I doing this right? Am I doing this thing correctly? Did I understand him well? And it's like, at first, I thought that was like a bad sign that I'm not doing well. But I think when I really look at it, it's really a part of just really growing in that
Mhm.
aspect, because I wouldn't be able to do like thinking few steps ahead of you if I had not failed at the beginning. I mean, when you told me one time to Dane, I don't need all these details. I just need a high level view. Is it going to be done or not
Mhm.
done? At first, it never clicked on my head. Like, why doesn't he need details? I mean, doesn't he want to know like what I did or how I got to that idea?
Hmm.
And then that's I thought I failed at that part, but then thinking now, it's like, well, I had to fail at that in order for me to understand now what you actually meant. And now it's like our communication has gone better and better, and I think there's even way more possibilities as long as we're growing together.
And you didn't fail. The part,
I,
the reality is what you did. You did fail at one thing. You failed to realize that I trusted you. I didn't need all the detail because I had full trust in you. So the only thing that was there was the failure of recognition that, hey, he trusts me to just say yes or no. And that was the only thing that probably didn't click at that time was, why does he not need all the detail? Well, first of all, if I didn't trust you, I would not have said that. So that's the number one thing. If I trust you not to provide the detail, then I trust that what you say is fact and that you can prove it to me at any given minute. And if I need it, you'll show it to me.
yeah,
And that's how I would verify. Like if I had a question about something, trust but verify. I trusted you, and if I need to verify it, then I'll just ask you for it so I understand it. It might not even be that I lack trust; it might be a lack of understanding. So I want to verify what I think with what you have in place. But
mhm,
the failure wasn't the detailed part. It was the not failing to recognize that I trusted you fully with that. And there isn't
yeah,
anything that you tell me that I don't believe if you tell me it's a matter of fact from your point of view. And if it's done, I know you say it's done, it's done. And I don't have to
yeah,
question anything. Trust but verify. It's interesting. I want to get your opinion on this. When I say I trust you, but I want to verify it, show me your homework. It's a common thread that I repeat that statement all the time. Sometimes
yeah,
when I want to see homework, it's because I don't understand. But normally it's because I question. I'm more curious than I am anything else. We talked
yeah,
about this a little bit ago, but we've had massive change within everything that we're involved in. And there's been
yeah,
overhaul and process and people leaving and coming. And
yeah,
there's times where you just have to see the information. I trust you, but I want to verify that trust for my own sake. Not because I
yeah,
don't trust you, but I want to build additional trust by verification. Whenever I say trust but verify, I mean it as in I want to grow the trust. I'm not trying to validate you did or didn't do what you said you were going to do. I trust that you're going to do what you say. I'm verifying how you got there so I know. A lot of people
yeah,
think that's like a backwards thing that I don't trust them, so I need to verify and validate what they did or didn't do. And the only time that that comes into play is when you can't provide a fact or an answer with conviction. So if you're
correct.
wishy washy on the answer, it's like, okay, if they're not convinced that it's true, then how am I going to be convinced that it's true? And there's multiple situations that we won't dive into on, this year that have had that where I question things. It's not that I don't believe you; I just want to see it.
Yeah.
It's often misunderstood, though. So trust but verify, Dane. What does that mean to you? And what have you seen by trying to verify being curious through like what you trust, but you just get curious, then you ask questions. What is that kind of what have you seen with that this year?
I think that, trust isn't something that you get right away. And then even if you said to me from the very beginning that you trust me, like you did tell me that, early on in our work
Mhm.
time together, but I kind of have this feeling that he does say this, but I know I have to prove myself at some point.
Mhm.
And it's not something that I can complain about. It's natural for you to know if, I can be trusted. And I really wanted to make that something to make it like a solid trust foundation between the both of us, that when you ask me for verification, I am not offended. And I just really want to make sure that you know what I mean. Sometimes I even think I overshare a lot of the details with you to some point because of, just really wanting to show you like how I got to this conclusion
Mhm.
that this thing is going to be done or not done, or I'm not sure. But I think really just having that trust build, you can't just like throw trust. I think it's something that you have to build and continue to build as you work together. So I'm not really offended or thrown off by that. I just really think that's natural.
I think understanding communication is one of the earliest human arts, and still today, probably more complex today than ever before. I
Mhm.
remember when the onboarding process started with superpowers, and I asked Amber, I said, "Is there going to be a language barrier? Like, is there a language? Like, I didn't know that English was a main language for you." And then the first week, I'm like, "Yeah, there is one, but it's because I don't speak good English, and you are fluent." It was
No.
amazing to think like your English is so much more clear than mine because I have picked up so much slang and so many terms that you probably never heard of before. And so I remember I'm like, oh my God, I'm gonna have to relearn how to speak actual English like by the textbook because she
No.
probably thinks I'm crazy with what I'm saying. And there was a barrier a little bit, but it was on my end, not yours. And it was so interesting to like hear you speak. I'm like, I sound like a damn idiot over here. I don't even know what I'm talking about because my language is so adapted to this society here. And it's so interesting to like think through that. Communication in itself, though, documentation, communication. If you can
Mhm.
get 80% at mastering them two things in life, you are going to be wildly successful at anything. Because just me and you communicating was a challenge for us both because what I say, this has been one of the biggest learning lessons I think for me in the last couple of months. I paint a picture in my head and then I
Yeah.
verbally speak it to you, and you receive it through your ears and paint the picture in your head to respond
Yes.
out of your mouth.
Uh-huh.
And so, like, what I say is what you receive, but the picture in my head and the picture in your head are going to be vastly different 99.9% of the time because of
Yes.
our life experience and the way we consume information. But if
Hmm.
I put a picture in front of you, if I have this picture, this painting in front of you, and I describe it, we're looking at the same thing. We're speaking to the painting and receiving from the painting. So the
Correct.
visual in the middle is what actually is being looked at. We're not painting a picture in our head. We're giving and receiving information based on what's in the middle of us. That fact in itself, like understanding that complexity at a very granular level, allowed me to understand things a lot differently. So I cannot communicate worth a damn, but I can visualize something and try to draw it out and paint it for you. And then it becomes very simple at that point to have a talking discussion around the same thing.
Yeah.
I didn't realize though, like when I would speak something into existence, it wouldn't become an existence because of me speaking it. But when I would, even like the Iron and Infrastructure logo itself, I
Yeah.
doodled it with my daughter at our breakfast table one day. Like our breakfast nook, I'm sitting there, and I draw this thing that's in my head, and I take it to a graphic designer, and in 20 minutes, he has this design done. And it like clicked at that moment a little bit like, it doesn't matter if it's pen and paper, third grade handwriting, like whatever it is on this piece of paper, just the
Hmm.
visual itself is huge for that. And that was like a massive learning curve for me. Communication, though, communication itself, you spend a lot of your day communicating, and so do I. How has it been different with us than ever before in your life? And what is it like now compared to then as far as good and bad?
Well, communication, well, of course, it's been a huge part of my life. In the line of profession that I finished, communication is a very, very important key in order to deliver good communication with your patients, with your clients, coworkers, etc. So, but what has changed is how keen I became or how sensitive I became, not on how I process the information, but rather how I process the way you process
Mhm.
information. I think that's the difference, in being an EA, because you're not going to think for yourself. You have to think on the shoes of your entrepreneur or the executive that you're working
Mhm.
for. So when we first started, I threw a lot of communication ways with you, and I think I overwhelmed you. I believe at the beginning because I was really trying to. I realize now that I wasn't working with how you were communicating, but rather on my convenience at that time.
Mhm.
But then, there was this, I forgot, I think it was with one of the community Mondays that we had with Superpowers. I usually attend that monthly. And there was this discussion with Amber where she detailed about communication, um, you know, processes between people and especially with entrepreneurs. And that's when I realized, I was not thinking that way for this past year. Why don't I try thinking from your end? And that's when I realized how visual you are, like legit visual person. And when you started doodling, the doodle part really didn't click for me at first, but then I realized, well, this is how he communicates and this is how I can understand him better. So that's when we started working better, I think, especially with the coaching when it's so fresh and it's so new. I just have to look at your diagram,
Hmm.
whatever you've drawn there, and I can see, oh, okay, this is what he meant. Rather than just listening to what you said, I look at what you drew, and that's when I understood, oh, okay, this is what he wanted, really. So yeah, I
It's
think that's
so
how.
good. That's so
Yeah.
good. Such a learning curve in life, I think, is we give the way we want to receive majority of the time in any form and fashion of life, whether it be
Mhm.
relationships or the way we communicate. A gift, you give somebody a gift, you're giving them what you would like to receive in return, not
Correct.
necessarily just what they would want. And I know for me it was such a eye opener when I learned that, because it's like I'm giving everyone information the way that I learned and received it, and I'm so disconnected from everyone now because of that. That's what like cracked the code for me. It's why do I feel like I'm on this island where this thing is so obvious to me? I'm just pissed I'm frustrated. I got to
Yeah.
get out of here. No one understands me. But then when someone does, when I go to strategic coach, oh my God, it's like me and Stephen Nooner are having a conversation. We saved the world in 5 minutes. Like that was easy. What's next? Let's colonize Mars. Let's call up Elon. It's so similar of a thought process and how we interpret information and then relay information. It's so similar, but that environment like allows that thriving to happen because you're with like-minded individuals. But on a
Correct.
day to day, no one normally operates that way in
Hmm.
comparison to you. We all operate our own way, and it's rare to
Hmm.
have a room full of people daily that are operating in that capacity. But when you understand that, I think a lot of life is just being aware of your
Yes.
surroundings and being aware of yourself and understanding that I need this, but it doesn't mean that person does. And
Yes.
I think the biggest thing that I've learned in the last few years, it's everybody has a different way. Not every way works for everyone. It's about finding the best way that works for you and everything in life. Fitness,
Yeah.
health, everything. It's about the one you'll consistently do and that you enjoy doing. And that is the best way for each individual person.
I completely agree.
Let's talk about Dane the person, your
Hmm.
personal superpowers.
Hmm.
Not the superpowers as the COO, the EA, the academia specialist. You are the oldest daughter, and in your country, I want you to explain the importance of that.
Yeah. So in the Philippines, if you are the eldest child, a lot of expectations come with that. And I think really growing up with that pressure, I would say, it's kind of really, I think, shaped how I approach things. I kind of have this mindset. So that's why when you say, paint a picture for me, Dane, what do you want to be 10 years from now? I don't think that way because I've been thinking my whole life, just surviving each single day. That's how I was wired to
Mhm.
think. And so when you ask me that question, it's kind of like, no, I've never done that. I've never kind of tried to think for myself like 10 years ahead. So being an eldest sibling, or yeah, in the country, not just for me, but I think for most of the people here, it's really kind of like being in the survival mode every single day and just trying to go through all the things that you can and being present at the moment.
Mm.
I would say that has brought a lot of good things to me right now because what I am right now is really just being present. I don't really stress a lot about what comes tomorrow. But then I also have had to learn to envision the future. Because without it, what kind of things are you going to do now? I mean, what's the point of the things that you do now if you don't have something to look forward to? So that's also something that my husband has really helped me with, because he has helped me, open my mind to that. He is more of a future person as well. And we are kind of in that dynamic. So I'm the one who really is like so focused, really sharp
Mhm.
on every day, and he helps me kind of get wired to thinking of what's ahead of us.
It's such a unique balance, and it's something that I think is needed. You can't have everything in the future, and you can't have everything in the present. If
Correct.
everything's focused on the future, then what are you doing today that's getting you there?
Hmm.
Also, if you're focused on just the present, where the hell are you going?
Yes,
So if you don't have
correct.
a target, if you don't have a target in your future, then
What are you working
any
for?
road will get you there, right? If you don't know where you're going, any road will get you there. But it takes such a unique balance of both. And I I I always like to frame it from being present as a gift, and I think that's why they call gifts present. The
Yes.
most impactful moments in my life are not caught on camera. The most profound, like internal like fulfillment that I've had, probably isn't caught on camera, because I was so present in the moment. I definitely wasn't thinking about that.
Hmm.
I've actually made it an effort in certain key moments, like if I want to remember this memory that I think is getting ready to happen, I might set a camera up elsewhere, because my mom used to do that for me, where I have a video of me at 5 years old on track hoe. It's part of the introduction for, speaking and engagements that I've had. I can look back now and see my childhood that I didn't understand then, and it took me 30 some years of my life to truly understand the reality of it. But I
Hmm.
don't have to take the reality for what it is. I can remember my reality from them videos. And so, like, being
Hmm.
able to go back and watch that is incredible. But knowing that everything we've been through in life is ultimately driving us to become who we are today, good, bad, or indifferent, nothing in life is anybody else's fault majority of the time that happens to us. It's really what happens for us, and it's how we react to adversity. There's a lot
Hmm.
of people that have a lot of bad things happen in life, but
Correct.
you hear about some of the most horrific situations of life, and the
Hmm.
mindset of someone to have a positive outlook, no matter how many times they get their teeth kicked in and they're on the ground, they still get back up. And
Yes.
you hear these stories and you're like, you know what? Is this, do I live life of pressure? I call it pressure, but I really think it's privilege, because I really believe pressure is a privilege. I
Hmm.
seen a thing this morning, and it just was like a reminder that today's problems were yesterday's dreams. 5 years
Yes.
ago, I wasn't even intelligent enough to have the dream about the problem I have today. I didn't
Hmm.
think it was even possible, because I didn't even know about it. But I was heading in to the office this morning, and it was Shaquille O'Neal, famous basketball player,
Hmm.
and he had a big game in the early '90s, I think, in New York, Madison Square Garden, the mecca of basketball. And he's there, and he got nervous, too much pressure. He folded, and his dad
Hmm.
was a military guy, very strict, very disciplined. The next day, his dad said, "Be here at 0700," and didn't tell him what for, like just be here. And his dad picked him up, and he took him downtown Orlando, and he went past this area of homeless people, and the people were homeless. They're sitting there, and they look like they're starving to death. And he
Hmm.
said, "What you went through yesterday was not pressure. When you don't know what your next meal looks like, that's pressure." And it was a
Hmm.
man standing outside with his family. And he's like, he's just, you can see distraught. And Shaq went and paid for him to have a hotel and food for months. Like he set him up for long term success. And it probably
Hmm.
changed that guy's life forever. That's what pressure looks like. And that's what his dad told him. And I thought about that. I'm like, you know what? What I deal with today is just a privilege. There's no, is it hard? Hell yeah, it's hard. I signed up
Right.
for hard. It's a privilege to be able to do the things that I'm doing today, because 2 years ago, hell, 2 months ago, I could not have imagined what life would be like today. And I think that is what being present for me is all about, is being able to recognize that everything that's happening for me right now is for me to grow. And if I keep that mentality where it can be great. The success can be at the highest, it can be at the lowest. The roller coaster goes up and down in life no matter what you do. There's going to be great times, there's going to be bad times, but if you just keep it good, you don't get too high or too low, you just keep it right in the middle. I think that's where ultimate fulfillment comes from, because you understand the reality, you understand how you got through it, and then you learn from it. One of the core values that I have: win or learn. We don't lose. It's win or
Yes.
learn.
Win or learn.
What was it like for you? You have 6 siblings, right?
Yes.
So you had to be like the leader of that. I'm assuming that's kind of the responsibility that you took on. What was that like? What the amount of responsibility that you've had from such a young age has to be the reason that you're so successful today. It has to be such a driving force to that. Why you're so in tune with information, making sure it's right. You had a lot of people relying on you from a very early age, I'm assuming. So what learning lessons have, for the better, have you learned from that you still hold true to this day that you're grateful for?
I would say having 6 siblings is very challenging. And although I would say if you were to compare me with all the other eldest siblings in the country, I would have, I probably would have failed based on that standard. Because most of the siblings in my country send their siblings to school, etc. And that is partially why my mother kind of like really propelled me towards the medical profession. Believe it or not, I wanted chemical engineering at first. That was really the career path I wanted. And I really took on that just to really have something as an anchor, not just for myself, but, as an assurance for my family that I am going to push through this and really go through this. But even then, I would say I have not been able to fulfill a lot of the things that they were expecting from me. And now I think more of it's really just a building relationship with my siblings in a way that allows them to go forward with their life without having indebted to me. I think that's the thing that I wanted them to see, that even without my help, they are able to do all wonderful things in their life. And I am just here to provide them with any form of support that they need, and I can, provide with my means.
It's amazing. We live, I don't know how many hours it would take to get there on a plane, probably 15 to 20. We live on the opposite sides of the world, essentially. You're 13 hours, I think, behind, right?
Correct.
Yeah. Or ahead, whatever it is. But we're on, it's 1:22 right now, my time. It's probably midnight your time, whatever it is. Like, we're complete opposite time spectrums.
Yeah.
And our cultures could probably not be any different. You could probably not paint two different upbringings. And it's
Yeah.
unique how you take two people that are completely opposites in two different walks of life with two different culture upbringing and then completely different wiring, but then they can mesh together in this working atmosphere and then thrive together. And you think
Correct.
about the way it's always been done. And this one is just something that in my internal being, I want to light on fire and argue with everybody that tells me this is the way it's always been. And that may be the right way. But majority of the time in my personal situation, the way it's always been done is not the best way. And when you just get this opinion that's so ingrained in you that you realize that I'm doing this thing that the person that taught me this thing, that person hated it and was miserable doing it and is instilling it in me. Right, wrong, or indifferent, I don't want to be like that as a person because I'm not delivering my best me to anybody else that I love. And sometimes you have to let that go. And this is more my personal experience, but you got to let go of the expectation of everyone else. You cannot live out your own dream for you if you're living everybody else's. Everybody else's dream for you has to die for you to live out your own. There's only one dream that becomes a reality, and it's either everyone else's or your own. And there's only one. And realizing that is hard. But understanding that although these people that said they love me may have the best intention for me, it doesn't mean it's what was best for me. It was what they thought was best for me. And them are
Yes.
so vastly different. you cannot put, there's no gray area. It's one or the other. And
Yeah.
when you go to that side, you live their dream. I think the biggest regret in life that I would ever have is being on my deathbed and thinking, you know what? I should have followed my gut that day and should have went through this thing and should have done it on my terms. Had
Yeah.
I done that, maybe my life would have been different. You
Correct.
have to live life for yourself. I truly think that you got to be selfish and do the thing that you're going to love to do. Because if you don't, I think you're being selfish by living someone else's dream personally. You got to do what's best for you to give the best of you to everybody else. And to serve the world and serve the people that you love, you have to be the best version of yourself.
Hmm. I completely agree.
Let's talk about fitness. Let's talk
Oh
about
no.
fitness a little bit. So
Okay.
I know that you had played sports in your past, you have a fitness background, and
Yeah.
then you went through one of the most amazing and hard transitions in life that I could not ever imagine because I will never experience, but I've
Hmm.
witnessed. And you
Hmm.
became a mother and you became
Yes.
responsible for children. And this transition of life is hard. Women are the most resilient, tough creatures in the world. Props out to all
Yeah.
the moms out there. But that transition in life and that understanding of what it is and the feeling has to be unbearable sometimes. Just explain though, like fitness background, motherhood, and then what's Dane doing today?
Okay. So ever since I was young, especially when I was in high school, I was involved in a lot of physical activities. I could not be any more fitter at that age. I run tracks. I do army training in high school, dance, almost everything. And then when I went to college, I played volleyball almost every year for school. I also make sure that I'm fit. I don't it's not something that I have to think about. It's natural for me to just do these things. But then when I became a mother, a lot of things have changed in my body that I could not control. It was uncontrollable. Like, for example, I've gained weight
Mm-hmm.
so much, and it's not like before that when I do a diet for like 2 months, I get back in shape right away. With the everything, I'm not. Maybe it's hormones, but it's really so hard to just lose the weight. And then after having my first child and then the second one, I think I almost gave up on myself. I just kind of like let go and just eat everything I wanted and not do anything about the weight. And I think until one day I tried to carry my child, and it was so exhausting. Like walking a few kilometers feels like I've ran like a marathon. And
Mm-hmm.
I didn't realize this just by myself, because both my husband and I were really getting into that wrong path. So we kind of realized that we had to do something. And then I was looking at myself in the mirror, and then I realized I've never looked at myself for this past few years, like truly looked at myself, because part of me really kind of really just disgusted with what I saw in the
Mm-hmm.
mirror. And when I slowly realized that I had to do something, it was so hard at first. It started with eating right, trying to really just focus on the things that really provide you nutrition. Because I've mentioned before, I really love eating. Like, I love eating, and pastries are my favorite, and they are like
Same.
those are the things that really make you gain weight. And
Mm-hmm.
so I started with that, just trying to eat what is needed, starting with that. And then with the exercise, started simple, having the weights at home and creating a program that really works for you, just something that you don't have to really stress yourself about. And I even bought like a walking pad now. Remember, you
Mm-hmm.
told me about what do you think about that, Dane? So it's just like, well, I think I should be, because I sit for most of the shift. I don't know if you're aware, Jake. I sit like 8 to 9 hours on
Mm-hmm.
the desk, and just recently I've started feeling like a pain on my calves.
Mm-hmm.
So I was kind of worried I don't want to have a heart attack. So it's like I should start walking and really really just trying to work with what I can now. So yeah, that's it.
Well, we could talk offline, but I promise you the pain in your calf is more from sitting than it is from heart attack symptoms. So I can reassure you that you're good. I sit a lot too now. And so, like, something that I've had to be aware of, I sit more now than I ever had before. I still work out in the morning, but the longevity of my day, a lot of it's sitting and thinking and working on things, and like whether it's a programming or whatever it is, I'm not up and active like I used to be. When I was in the field, I would probably have 20,000 steps a day, like before lunch. I mean, it was nonstop. But now I sit a lot, and it's a different type of exhaustion at the end of my day. I'm physically
Yeah.
exhausted, yes, because I'm up 16 or 18 hours every day. I sleep 5 or 6 maybe, but and like I have the most grueling workout in 45 minutes and 1 hour. Call an hour of absolute intense, extreme exercise that I go through every day in the morning. But after that, it's all mental. And the mental exhaustion sometimes, probably
Yeah.
relatable for you, is just as taxing on your body because it does so much to your body that you're not aware of until the end. Your
Yeah.
physical
So
posture,
yeah.
your slump, your shoulders are forward, your hamstrings are shut off because you're sitting on your butt. So like your glute hamstring activation doesn't work, which will help, which will make your calves tighter, by the way. So like you're basically just deactivating the muscle that supports everything walking. Just standing up alone is going to be huge for you. And I actually seen a thing the other day, and it said if you would do 10 body squats an hour, like every hour you just do 10, body weight squats, the acceleration of longevity, weight loss, it was like data backed longevity stats. It was amazing what it would do. Just because the blood flow, the circulation throughout your body, just the mobility in itself is huge. And it's something I overlook as a fitness fanatic, but society itself, it's detrimental. And so I just want to say two things. First of all, good for you, because you had a defining moment. You
Mm.
had this thing that was a setback.
Yeah.
And majority of the time, Dane, what happens is we don't feel worthy of this accomplishment, or we don't feel like we are able to achieve it. We lack the like love for ourselves. We end up hating ourselves as a byproduct of the state we're at. And it's when you dig deep, you looked yourself in the mirror and you said, you know what? I have to make this change because it's bigger than just me. I have kids that I'm going to raise. I want to show them the way. I want to set a
Yeah.
standard that they see, not a standard that they have to watch. They see the way that I move and the way I act, not what I say, but what they see. My
Yes.
kids will never probably understand why I do what I do. They will never understand how hard it is, but they will see me throughout the longevity of my life doing what I do now, and they will understand one day why I did it. Not
Yeah.
how or what, but why. That
Yes.
in itself is what you're doing. And congratulations and good for you for believing in you enough, empowering yourself enough, and knowing that you are worthy to do that.
Yes.
That's the hardest part, is that first step.
Yes. Took a lot of strength and courage, actually, to stand on the
But it does.
scale. Yeah.
And so it's interesting because me now reverse back 20 years, right? You see me today and compared to 20 years ago. The reason that I'm where I'm at today is because I have naturally been good at absolutely nothing. I have no natural ability at anything, believe it or not. I was
Hmm.
naturally overweight, naturally slow, naturally not intelligent, could not read and write naturally. Like I have no natural skill set whatsoever. And I'm grateful for that every day because it created a absolute fire under me that I could not have created myself had I had natural ability. I
Yes.
think adversity is the ultimate accelerator in life, that this obstacle will create this opportunity, or it will
Hmm.
absolutely be the demise of you if you don't ever face it. And I often reference life as a mirror, not a window. If you
Yes.
are scared to look in the mirror and face that reality, like what you did, you looked it right in the mirror. You didn't blame the outside world. You didn't blame anything else, but you looked in the mirror and said, you know what? I'm the only person that can fix this. And you did, and you're doing
Yeah.
it. And it'll
Mhm.
be a lifelong pursuit, and it won't be easy, but it will be worth it till you stop doing it.
Thank you.
I promise you, it's worth it. I'm proud of you, by the way, too. You snuck one in on me one day. We were talking about it. And you're like, "Yeah, I dropped X amount of weight," and I'm like, Dane, like I'm a fitness fanatic, and you haven't even told me to start working out like you have
Yeah.
been. You didn't tell me about this evolution that you had. You didn't ask for help or anything.
Yeah.
Good for you, Dane. I'm proud of you.
I just wanted to make sure that the determination really came from me, to really start doing it.
Motivation. It's a feeling. It's something that we feel. This motivation we have sometimes is sparked by, it's ignited by something that is painful, but it can be very temporary. I
Correct.
think about motivation, and when I think of motivation, this is how I like to phrase it. Fuck your motivation. It is about discipline.
Yes.
Discipline, because it's not about what you feel, it's about what the outcome is that you desire to have. I promise you, Dane, for the last 6 months, there probably has not been one day a week that I have honestly got up and said, I can't wait to go do this thing. Some days it's like, I am going to be happy if I make it to the gym with one eye open. It's
Yeah.
been that tiring and exhausting. And some days I have literally fallen out of bed trying to stand up. I have crawled to the bathroom in the morning before. I don't have any feeling about wanting to do this thing. It's not even an option whether I do or I don't. Discipline takes over, and discipline to me creates long-term freedom. You stay disciplined, you get freedom. And I truly, truly believe that.
I completely agree too.
All right, Dane, I'm going to put you on the spot. This show is being closed by Dane today. Dane has provided me the superpowers to have ultimate fulfillment. I cannot express the gratitude I have for you, this working partnership that we have, the amount of superpowers that I feel internally and can showcase externally from this working relationship that we have. Stephen Nooner, Ryan Casson, Amber Knowles, the Chief Happiness Officer, has
Yes.
superpowers. I cannot thank everyone enough there. I know Dane has changed your life. It has absolutely changed my life. Stephen Nooner is my coach at Strategic Coach, and I'm giving them three a big hug right now.
Virtual
Superpowers hug. So
Yeah.
I can't thank them enough. Such a amazing group of people. Everyone at Superpowers has been so good to me. I'm sure they have been to you. So superpowershq.com is where you can find them at. Stephen Nooner, Ryan Kastner are the founders of the company. They're the owners, and they are both extremely incredible humans. I've said my piece, Dane. You're going to segue the show into wrapping it up. You close it. Take it home. It's on you.
So to everyone listening to this podcast, there is a lot of learning experiences that you cannot listen to just anywhere. And I really encourage everyone to subscribe and follow Jacob Emery. And there's a treasure trove of information that you can get from him. And also, please don't forget to look at his website. That's jacobemery.com. And sign up for a coaching program. There's no best day than today to check it out. So thank you so much, Jake, for having me. And I just really want to let you know that I am not going to be where I am today had I not worked with you a year and a half ago.
Likewise, my friend. Likewise. You heard it here first from the COO. Dane, thank you for giving me the superpowers. I cannot thank you enough for the partnership that we have. And to all the people listening, go to superpowershq.com. If you want to find your superpowers, go there. I promise it'll happen. Visit jacobemery.com. Sign up for the coaching program if you want to unlock your greatness. Appreciate everyone tuning in. Dane, thank you so much.
Thank you,
We're
Jake.
out.